Yeah, for our
Coach,
first guest here on day 3 of the 2025 NFL Draft. We have the brand new offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys, Klayton Adams, joining us now. And Klayton comes from an offensive line background. He was the offensive line coach with the Arizona Cardinals. So, Klayton, I have to start with Tyler Booker, first-round pick. I mean, what are your thoughts overall to have a guy like that in your building?
Obviously, extremely excited about this unique combination of character, talent, work ethic. That's what really I think you're trying to hunt in the first round is somebody that can play, that can play at a really high level, and they're going to achieve that ceiling because of the tools that they have.
It's really incredible to see the type of influence you've already had on the building, and we'll talk more about that as we go along. And the offensive line seems to be a huge priority going into this offseason for this coaching staff, for the scouting department and the front office. What have kind of been those meetings behind the scenes putting together what this offensive line's going to look like in 25?
Well, I think it's as high a priority as everything else is you want to build really deep rooms with good and tough players. And one of the things that I've been so impressed with the draft process here is, when there's things that happen and you kind of let it fall the way that it's falling, when the best player is there that's going to make our team the best, we're going to get the thing that we think is the sure thing more than just like, we really need this position. Let's reach a little bit. There doesn't seem to be a lot of reaching in that draft room and certainly no panic in that draft room. So it's been pretty impressive to watch.
Where do you think that philosophy stems from?
I think probably it just being such a collaborative process up there. Mr. Jones, he really wants to listen to everybody's opinion and take them in. And at the end of the day, he's going to make a decision. He and Steven are going to make a decision on it. But Will McClay and the guys that work over in the personnel department, they turn over every single stone. And they really value the input of the coaches as well. And so again, one of the probably most impressive things about the entire process is just they understand that everything should be valued as a piece of the puzzle, not the entire thing. And so you evaluate things as they come up. And then when we're on the clock, there's options for a lot of different things. But it's, okay, who's the guy that's going to make our team the best? Not necessarily just going to be a Band-Aid to cover, a hole in the thing.
So, something that I think is fascinating about your new staff coming into this draft process is that you not only had to catch up with the guys in the draft, but also catch up on the team once you got hired. Can you just talk about these last couple of months and how busy they have been?
Yeah, at year one, I think everywhere is a little bit busy, but certainly it's been a whirlwind for me. Just trying to really come into a system where the terminology isn't really going to change, which is the right thing to do, right? You want to protect the terminology for the players, certainly when you have a quarterback like Dak Prescott coming back, is why would we make him learn a whole bunch of new terminology when that can be my job to learn that? Mm-hmm. So that's one piece of it, trying to blend, where do we find nuance and things that we want to do a little bit differently than what we've done in the past. And then, just Shadi and I getting on the exact same page, which he's really been amazing, and probably as good a situation as I could have walked into in terms of somebody who's, this is a new role for me. And so being that the head coach is the person that was in my shoes just last year, he's able to give me a lot of guidance and keep me ahead on things so I'm not getting hit from the side on didn't think about that. Yeah. He's been great of just being ahead, 2 weeks ahead most of the time, like, hey, this is coming up.
You guys haven't been shy about the fact that you want to run the football. When you look at the interior now with Tyler Smith, Tyler Booker, and Cooper Beebe, what do you like about the combination of those three guys and what they're going to be able to do for you in the run game?
Yeah, big, strong, fast, tough, smart. There's a lot of different words that you could use on the interior there. We got a long way to go, and we got to get a lot better in regards to, running the football. I think that first and foremost, you do whatever you have to do to win the game. And so I don't think that you go into a game and say, well, we're just going to run it 70 times and we're going to see, what the score ends up being. You got to do whatever you can to win the football game. But creating explosives in the run game is a recipe for creating explosives in the pass game. And hopefully the hope is that by being able to move the line of scrimmage, you're able to protect differently than just having to drop back all the time. Because I know one thing is it's a heck of a lot easier to block these D linemen when they don't know it's a pass.
Right.
So, that's one of the things. And the other part of it, and I truly believe this, is that when somebody can impose their will on you in the run game, it's a disease for the entire team. And it affects everybody in a negative way. And conversely, it affects your team in a positive way. It's like, all right, we're going to go out on this drive and it's going to be bang, 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 and then boom, over the top. Or, maybe you did that on the last drive and you come out with a play action that hits a deep crosser or something like that. I just think it's a recipe for disaster if you can't run it and they can run it on you.
Cowboys OC Klayton Adams with us here. One of the things we were pumped about is the variance in which you run the football. And coming from Arizona, teams didn't know what the heck you were going to do to them. Is it pin and pull? Is it outside zone? Is it inside zone? What's kind of the vision you have for this rushing attack, and how does Tyler Booker help that?
Well, I think again, first and foremost is you got to do what the guys do well.
Yeah.
And, when I was in Indy in 2021 and we ran the ball well that year, it was mostly outside zone. We went into our first year in Arizona saying, okay, we're going to force the issue here and be an outside zone team. And that wasn't really what fit our players and James, our tailback, the best. And so we had to pivot and figure out, what do we do well? Oh, okay, well, our center is a really good puller. Let's figure out a way to do more of these things. So I think that you go into the situation here saying, all right, what fits our play action game the best, and can our players do it? And if they're struggling with it, can we improve, or do we need to pivot? And I think that's the recipe for any organization or team or anything that you're trying to have collective success is you have to figure out what does the pieces that you have, what do they do best, and then put them in those situations consistently.
Coach, this is a really, really deep running back draft. I know you've worked through these names and stuff like that. What's the ideal back for your type of situation? Maybe not a name, but what's the running style of an ideal back that you would like to have in your scheme?
I think at the end of the day, you want contact balance is generally ends up being the number one thing that people look at is, can this guy get on edges of defenders and keep his feet? And then the other thing that everybody's looking for is when you get a guy into the secondary, can he finish? And that's much more difficult to do in the NFL than it is in college football. But you see it, there's guys that they do get themselves into the secondary, and whether it's because they win with speed or it's because they win just by being really difficult to break down, to get on the ground, guys have different ways of doing it. But you contact balance and having the ability to finish.
Stephen was talking yesterday about players taking that jump. One, certainly the first-round pick, Tyler Guyton, from last year. What are some of the things that stand out to you about Tyler and that you can use for him to kind of fit what you're talking about, things that he does well, or maybe some things that you want to see him improve?
I'd say a lot of that right now is TBD, because what I would hate to do is watch last year's tape and say, well, this is exactly who this player is and define it exactly that way. I don't want to do that to him. I want to get out on the grass and really work through some of the pluses and minuses of who he is as a player. So I think what you see is the same thing that I saw when we evaluated him last year in the draft is this guy has the tools to be special. And so right now we're working through it in the meeting room of trying to figure out exactly okay, who are we? Mm-hmm. What are the fundamentals of what we're going to do as an offense? And then when we get out on the grass, we sort the rest of those things out.
Yeah, with what Shadi is trying to build, we've certainly learned over the course of the last couple of months that it's culture first, culture. Is it unique to the experience that you've had, not only around the league, but in college football, to the type of culture first environment that Shadi is trying to build?
I wouldn't say that saying it is unique. I think that there's a lot of places that say it. What's unique is being able to stick with it and having, the consistent day-by-day philosophy of how we do something is much more important than what we do, and he's been really great that way. There's a lot of teams that say it. not everybody does it.
I gotta ask. You have 3 Tylers on the offensive line. You got nicknames or anything? You're gonna have to figure that one out.
I mean, I'm sure there probably are nicknames, but at the end of the day, what I really want is I want like a big old board in there that's the Tyler Power Rankings. Nice. So by day, it's you know what, TG, you slipped to number 3 today. Hey, you're leader in the clubhouse, best
There we
Tyler
go.
in the room.
There we go.
That's
awesome.
another way to compete.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Offensive coordinator Klayton Adams joining us here on the Draft Show. Coach, welcome to Dallas. First off, we're excited to see what you do with this Cowboys offense. Congrats on the first-round pick, and have a day 3 at it as well.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Coach.
having me in.
There he goes.
Appreciate you.
Klayton Adams joining us here in studio. New offensive coordinator. Awesome to talk with him. We could talk with him for the next hour if he was available. But we've got multiple names rotating into this studio. How about this next?